Welcome to the Sober Edge podcast, inspiration for alcohol-free living. I'm your host, Terry Patterson, functional nutritionist and This Naked Mind senior coach. The Sober Edge is a place to explore the infinite possibilities on the other side of drinking. In a culture soaked in booze, discover the wonder and joy of taking a different path. Meet real people living lives of purpose and passion, learn the truth behind the alcohol myths, and get ready to be motivated, inspired, and astounded by what is possible with the Sober Edge. Well, hey, this episode is a way back Wednesday episode that I pulled out of the vault because it's all about sober travel. And here we are in the middle of summer for those of us here in the Western Hemisphere, and we are often out and about traveling, family reunions, weddings, all kinds of events and activities that require us to practice this skill of traveling without drinking. So, this episode was originally recorded in the middle of April in 2022, already 15 months ago, that I sat down for a really powerful conversation with my friend and fellow coach, Susan Larkins. And she gives us 5 keys of how to travel sober. And those keys, those 5 things have not changed, but you might be at a different place on your alcohol-free journey. You might have just started your alcohol-free journey. And so this is an episode that is definitely worth listening to again or for the first time. We are always experiencing new things alcohol free. And part of what we need to do on this journey is we need to move from the commitment to travel alcohol free to the courage to try it. And then we get to practice, practice, practice. So whether you're on your first alcohol free travel experience for work or pleasure, family, or you are on your 20th, this is always going to be information that is powerful and helpful and a great reminder of how we keep this empowered choice in front of us and the beauty and the benefit of traveling without alcohol. Last summer, shortly after I recorded this episode, I traveled for the first time to Europe. And there were twin toddlers in tow, and it was a fabulous alcohol-free vacation, one of my favorite trips ever. This year, I am traveling to Hawaii coming up in the fall. I'm traveling for a Sober in the City event to Portland, Maine in September. I've got people traveling to come see me in early August for a alcohol-free coaches mastermind weekend. So I know there's lots of travel going on. And Susan does an excellent job of sharing the things to pay attention to and how we boss our brain around and learn how traveling without alcohol can be the best travel experience of our life. I hope you enjoy. All right. Well, today we have a very special episode. I've invited my friend Susan, who is an expert when it comes to traveling sober. So, whether you have a work convention coming up, or perhaps you're being asked to travel again now that the world is opening back up, or maybe you have that first alcohol free vacation or that first sober wedding. And today, Susan and I dive into some of the key tips and tactics that she has created to help you navigate not only your vacation, but the trip to the airport, the feelings and emotions that come up when we find ourselves maybe being a little irritated while on vacation. And she lays out some beautiful tools to help us navigate this flawlessly. And so I couldn't be more excited to introduce her to you. And I hope you will take advantage of the free workbook that she's offering to my listeners. You can find all of the information on the show notes. And so Susan's mission is to help professional women discover how to get their drinking under control and become free and create a life that they want to wake up to. She knows firsthand what it's like to feel stuck, knowing alcohol did not work for her, but also not being able to let go. Susan is passionate about helping women take back their power of choice and creating an amazing and vibrant life. Please enjoy this episode with Susan Larkin and myself. Well, hey, everybody. It's Terry back with another edition of the Sober Edge podcast. And I am so excited to introduce you to my friend and a woman who is also a fellow This Naked Mind coach. Welcome to the podcast, Susan Larkin.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, I really wanted to have Susan on the podcast because she has some expertise around an area that I think we can all use a little support in. And I recently polled one of the groups that I'm in, and I said, where are you struggling in this alcohol-free journey? And someone said, I want to know more about how to do work travel and how to go on vacation and remain alcohol free. And I immediately thought of Susan because you have some programs that you've designed around that and some experience with that. And so I would love for you to tell us how this came about. How did you start working with people in their alcohol-free travel?
Well, the first thing I created as a coach was a boot camp for vacationing and special events alcohol-free. And I created that mostly because it was something I needed. And I thought, well, a lot of people need this. This is the thing that in my journey to become alcohol free, where I tripped up every time. So even what I put on the website for the boot camp was you're 30, 60, 90 days alcohol free and you're going on vacation. Because that was exactly my story. The first group that I did to go alcohol free was a 21-day program. And afterwards, everyone was like, I'm going 40 days. I'm going to go for 100 days. And I was like, I'm going on vacation because I literally was going on vacation in like a week after the program was over. And at that point, I was, not ready to embrace an alcohol-free lifestyle. It was just it was unheard of to go on vacation and not drink. I was just like, no, people do that. That's just weird, So it was something that I knew when I decided to definitely make a firm commitment to really take alcohol out of my life for a significant period of time. I really wanted to become alive. When I saw Annie's webinar, and I was like, that's what I want. And I'm going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at it. So then I knew, okay, I'm going to have to do something to be able to do these kind of things alcohol free. And actually, even though it was the pandemic and nobody was traveling, my father-in-law passed away. And well, he was first in hospice, and we went out to California. We're originally from California. So we were in Los Angeles and staying in a hotel and going over. He was home hospice and going over, and the wine was just flowing. And I knew I needed my tools. So all the tools that I used on all the different occasions in my journey, I put together, and all the things I've learned from This Naked Mind, I put together in a boot camp for strengthening your muscles, your alcohol-free muscles, to be able to do extraordinary things like go on vacation and not drink.
Yeah, I love that so much. And one of the things I'm curious about, and I think the listeners will be as well, is what is different about planning for an alcohol-free vacation versus just planning to be alcohol-free maybe through a weekend?
Well, there are a lot of landmines. I mean, you've created new routines around home. You've created new routines, maybe around work and all of the things, and maybe just weekend things. Your weekend lifestyle. Friday nights, were a huge thing to get over, and now maybe you have that under your belt, and you're really loving your alcohol-free lifestyle. But we run into so many from the minute you start packing, you run into those landmines. When you get to the airport, like there's so much stress that's not normal day-to-day stress in travel and expectation management. I mean, I don't know why, but I expect my husband to know where to drive and know the directions when we're in Hawaii, and he's never been there. And I'm just like, how come you don't know where we're going? I don't know. I turn into like a maniac. And those are all the reasons I realized. We think that we drink on vacation for pleasure or for celebration, but I drank for stress there too, mostly, probably. Like part of it was maybe celebration, but you get into the hotel room and you drop your bags, and the first thing you want to do is have a glass of wine on the balcony. But that glass of wine wasn't like, hooray, we're here. It was like, oh my God, thank God we're here. It was really, for me anyway. So my stress drinking for coping mechanism for me was my big problem with drinking.
I think that's fascinating because I had never really thought about it in terms of, I think absolutely, as you said, we think about going on vacation and we imagine that the difficulty is going to come when we're, swim up to the bar and the little umbrellas are on display. But you're right. People start feeling disconnected and stressed even at the airport bar, or even on the plane, or even in the taxi on the way to vacation. And so it's not just about managing those moments when you are offered a drink or in a celebratory situation, but it's about much more than that. So, yeah, I think that's so key. And I'm glad you brought that up because it does speak to, how do we really make a solid plan?
Yeah, so that's what that's what the boot camp's about. And also I took some of the boot camp curriculum and put it into a workbook that's on my website. It's free and people can go there and get it. And I do little workshops in various different communities, alcohol-free communities, to take you through 5 key exercises that you can do to really prepare for a special event or a vacation. And the boot camp, of course, goes into more detail, but this is something what I have in the workbook will definitely get you there. And it's really about, I fashioned it around this concept that I stole or borrowed from Brene Brown. I give her credit, which is to build your strong back. So exercises to build your strong back, but also develop your soft front so that and the soft front is really about being open to the experience and being able to enjoy your vacation, not just going in there and muscling through. What I say is being zipped up on both sides. And, then you're like a robot, like, I am going on vacation. I'm going to have fun. It's like, no, that's, if you're all stiff and worried all the time. So it's really part of the exercises is about anticipating all the joy and the fun that you're going to have instead of always worrying about how am I going to do this and not drink. So
that is a really good tip to think about that strong back. So I assume the strong back is like having that foundation. So yes. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. Well, a strong back starts with a firm decision. And I know that sounds like so back to day one of this Naked Mind program. But when we did the boot camp with different people, we talked about it being like a micro decision around this one part of your life, which is this event, this wedding, this weekend, or this vacation, or this trip that you're going on for work, because those are fun too. And that's, everything's free. So that makes it even, you go and you're going to have a big reception and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes when you travel for like a convention or something, strong back, first exercise is about making a firm decision. So really deciding, and the root word of decide or decision is the Latin for that is to cut off. So we just cut off all other possibilities. So you really, really decide that you're going to stay alcohol-free on this vacation.
Yes, that's so good. I talk to people about setting an intention. And I think that, we get expectations caught up with intentions. So I love that you've divided it into this place of just cutting off other options. I think that is such a powerful place to start, and really thinking about, we talk all the time in this Naked Mind that maybe means yes.
Yes, right.
And one of the other things that was my own personal experience is once I made that firm decision, I didn't have to keep going back to deciding over and over and over. Yeah. And so the decision fatigue was also cut off because I had already made the decision, and it really helped me in many areas. I went on my first alcohol-free vacation. It was like a little 4-day getaway with some of my husband's high school friends. And we went to the coast, and I was like 2 weeks alcohol free.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. I know. And I didn't have this foundation, but I did make that firm decision. And so I knew that I wasn't going to drink. It was just a matter then of figuring out the rest. And I assume, so that's where the soft front comes in. Yes.
Yes. So the soft front is what I talk about is your why, or an intention for what do you want to do? Why are you going on this vacation? So for example, we just recently went to Key West, very boozy place, more boozy than I thought. I was like, whoa. And it's like all these white people in their 50s partying like they're in their 20s. It was really quite gross. I was like, okay, I do not need to see any more of this. That's for sure. But it's really about what is your intention? Because you can get all kind of wound up about things. And so coming back to that, what is your intention? So we were there, and I was just kind of, I don't know, I was feeling like, oh, maybe this wasn't the best place to come or this or that. And then I got back to, wait, why did we come here? We came here to relax. So we rented bikes and we went and we did fun things during the day. And then we came back in the late afternoon, sat by the pool. And then we had like a condo type of a hotel room. So it wasn't just a room, we had a living room and a kitchen. And so we just decided to stay in every night and like hang out and watch movies and not go do tons of nightlife stuff because we don't even like that. And we wanted to relax. So it was coming back to that intention versus feeling like, well, we're here, we should do all this stuff. We should. It's like, no, we just want to relax. So it's really coming back to, what do you hope to accomplish? Relaxation, celebration, connection. And what are you excited about enjoying? Like I was really excited about the food. I was excited about the pool and it being warm. I mean, the reason why we went to Key West was it was the warmest place that we could fly direct to in the United States. So we didn't want to go international and do the whole COVID test, to get back into the country and all that. And so I kept remembering that I came here to be in warm weather and it was beautiful. And so first, I use this example of vacation. It sounds like I go on vacation all the time.
I don't. We are talking about vacation, so it does come up.
Yeah, we went to Mexico, and this was, I'd been a year alcohol free. We went to Mexico for my brother's 50th birthday. And there was aspects about the resort that I wasn't super thrilled about and just stuff. And I was starting to get a little, and I just came back to, what was my why? What was my intention of this vacation? I don't like big resorts, but I said, well, I want to connect with my nephews. I want to connect with my sister. I haven't seen her in a while. And when I switched my focus back to what I really was there for and what my intention for being there, my why, then all that, it was just like all this chatter just went away. All the annoyances of so many people, or I don't know why, but I feel like I have to like save a beach chair for everyone, so everyone's included, and like I just got over that. It's like, no, I want to sit with my sister. I'll sit with my sister, and if everybody else wants to join us, great. I didn't have to become the cruise director, the oldest sister, So,
Yeah.
So the soft front is really your why, or your intention. And one of the exercises I have about bringing you back to your intention is what I love. This is my favorite one that I wanted to share is these activating questions. Cause our brain, it is like a problem solving machine. And so when you start to go, out, your brain starts to go nuts about, oh, I don't like all these, we don't have a good room and whatever. You just start to go, or it's a difficult time with family maybe, or, your in-laws are coming for 11 days, at Thanksgiving. That was used to happen for me. These activating questions, which is like, what am I in control of? That's a great one for when you're waiting in line to get, for them to check your passport. And it was like, well, what am I in control of in this moment? Or how can the one I use a lot of times with families, how can I show more love? Like in this moment, how can I show love to, my father-in-law or my, regardless of what else is going on and who's annoying me, how can I show love in this moment? Or what is working? And just shifts your mind to something more positive, or how can I create more connection?
Those are so good. That's so powerful because I think we do get caught up on these tiny little snags, if you will. And, yes. One of the things that often happens when we're planning a vacation, and I'm particularly now, I feel like a lot of people haven't been on vacation for 2 years. So we're putting all of this pressure to have like this perfect getaway. And the reality is that some of these tips that you're sharing, in fact, all of the tips that you're sharing work whether you're drinking or not. Like, what a way to set, to really plan a vacation with knowing why you're going and what your intention is, and then to allow yourself to let go of those things you can't control. I mean, I think that's one of the things that can really happen, that people get stressed. And instead of stopping to, like you said, ask these activating questions, they choose to drink or they fall into drinking. And, it's so important to have a plan. So this is good stuff. What else do you have for us?
Well, this one's not in the workbook, but when you were just talking about, the expectations, yes, like you said, it could possibly, people are going on their first vacation after the pandemic and wanting it to be just the greatest vacation ever. And so I have this meditation, and it also is sort of from a Christian meditation, which is the palms up, palms down. I don't know if it's a centering prayer, but I use it for expectations. So it's sort of like put all the expectations that you have for the trip in your hands and then just think about them all. And then can you just let them go? And then can you open your palms to what is in the moment? So it's almost like a little breath exercises you can do actually in the moment. Like if everything's going wrong to you, like this is not going as planned. Okay, these are all the plans I thought were going to happen. I thought we'd get a room with a beautiful ocean view, but we have a ocean view of the parking lot. I thought we were going to, all this stuff. Put it in your hands, let it go. And then, okay, what is here, focusing on what is. And it actually comes from there's a website link in the boot camp of these guys that I found this idea of palms up living, just being with what is, which is very much part of this naked mind when we coach our clients is, okay, well, getting them back to, can you be with what is?
Yes. And I say it like this, I'll talk often, if anybody's ever seen me coach, they'll probably recognize this, but I think about this idea of we hold so tightly and we try to control so much and we put so much effort into, making the vacation perfect or not drinking. And I said, what would happen if you just open your palms and allow? And what a place you can just feel the tension when you're gripping so tight and you're so fixated on your idea of the ocean view room or what have you. But when you absolutely open your hands, you feel that release of energy. And then that's where the allowing happens. So yeah, that is really cool. I love that exercise. And I could see that being very powerful. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about, we chatted about it briefly before we started recording is, I think that where else people can get hung up is work travel. And that maybe looks a little different, but I'm wondering if some of these powerful ideas and exercises can translate to somebody who maybe is starting to travel again for work and is struggling with being in a hotel room, maybe by themselves, and maybe even the stress of work travel. How does this maybe translate to that?
Well, I think all of the exercises could definitely be transferable to that. I mean, I just think of all these things as landmines. And it's like, you want to give yourself a little bit of a map to not step onto those landmines. So one of the exercises is to plan for things that you think are going to be challenging, brainstorm the challenges. So if you've traveled before for work and your drinking MO for work travel, if you have a routine or, something that you normally do, think of all of those situations and then, use the tactic, play it forward for each of those challenge or excuses that you would usually use to drink, and play it forward and see what would really happen. Will the drink really do what you think it's going to do? Or, where's this really going to go? The one glass of wine turns into the whole bottle, that kind of thing. And then how are you going to feel about it later? This is the questions that I put in there. And is it worth it? But I also love, when I do play it forward, I love to play it forward twice. And I love to do this one the second time, which is now play it forward if you do handle the challenge in a way that makes you feel proud. Like, what happens if you decide not to drink? How's that going to feel? How are you going to feel the next day? How are you going to feel in the moment? And in planning for those challenges, what are you going to need to make that scenario happen, the play it forward scenario? So bring a really good book, look around in the area. Is there something that's of interest to you there? Is there a neat museum there that you could go to? My husband traveled all the time. I did not. I stayed home with the kids, but he would call me up and go, "Hey, I got tickets to see the Lakers in Charlotte, and this was back when Chick Hearn was still alive. And then he's like right behind, he goes, turn on the TV, I'm on TV. And Chick Hearn's like, announcing, and my husband's in the back. Like he would just go get tickets to sports events. Cause when you're one person, or concerts, when you're one person, you can usually get tickets, off the people selling them on the side of the road. I would never do that, but my husband did it all the time. Find fun things that you might want to do in the town or the city that your conference is in. And if you like to stay in your room, then yeah, now you can get your Netflix on any hotel room TV. So get that binge-worthy Bridgerton going, if that's not something you watch at home. Or
my husband and I just were away, and we were in a hotel for a few days, and we turned on and realized we could do Netflix. And it's like, okay, now that's genius, because it is relaxing, to have, my daughter and grandson live with us. And so to actually have control of the remote is quite a treat. Yeah. So yeah, I think that it's so good to think about that concept of landmines. And I'm not sure I've heard it described that way. So I might be borrowing that from you. Sure. Yay. Because I love this idea of really seeing where the obstacles are and what's in the way. And having that firm plan is so key to having success. That idea of just knowing, especially with work travel, or if you're traveling on vacation to a place you've been before, or you're going to hang out with family and you kind of know their drinking patterns, maybe. Yeah. It's, it's just so helpful to get in that mindset of preparing for what's ahead, and not in a way to feel deprived, but in a way to actually feel empowered by the opportunity to be on a vacation alcohol-free. And I know that, I have, of course, my own experiences traveling alcohol-free, but I see people that share all the time the gifts and the benefits of being on an alcohol-free vacation. So I'd love for you to tell my listeners what you've heard, what kind of feedback you've heard that people have shared.
Oh yeah. People, you're the one that wakes up in the morning, you feel fabulous. You go on the walk along the beach, you feel great the whole trip. I mean, you enjoy the food, you enjoy the company. On a work trip, I imagine, you can really nail those work meetings when everybody else is getting sloshy. You're still like, and the intention setting, or the why, you could really apply to that and really be nailing these work trips. You're the one that's going to be waking up, going for a run. One of my clients just so enjoyed this wedding. She was so worried about it and ended up just like, that was the best wedding. I danced, I had such a great time. I felt good. I looked good. Like after you drink, you get sloppy looking, and then you're taking pictures and you're like, wow, that's how everybody else looks. She still looked great, So no, just enjoying. That's usually more relaxing, more enjoyable. You actually come home refreshed instead of I used to come home and feel like I had to detox and take a vacation from my vacation, or you bring home all that drinking behavior from vacation right back home with you. And that sometimes happen. But I love it when we go on vacation, people go, I don't normally drink like this. It's like, right. Oh, really? Really? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure, even if you didn't normally drink like this, well, that's great. Then you must be really having a hangover tomorrow, the next morning, and here you're on your vacation, and and sometimes we spend a lot of money on these vacations. So
yes. And I remember day drinking, and that was the thing that would trip me up, was like, well, I'm on vacation, so I should have a beer with lunch or a cocktail in the afternoon. And then I would lose hours. I would get so sleepy, and then I'd want to take a nap, and then I'd miss the best part. And then I didn't have the energy to do the activities if there was things I wanted to enjoy. And, I think the other thing that often goes hand in hand with boozy vacations is get a little tense with our, the other people that are on the vacation with. Yes. And you might have, instead of having the beautiful romantic getaway you envisioned, it might in fact be a lot of snipping and snapping as the alcohol creates this discontent.
Oh, definitely. That happened to us all the time. We have a terrible Miami trip. You don't want to hear about it.
The next podcast, Susan.
Yes, the trip. There's actually a picture. It was right before we went on a cruise. My husband found this picture. And I don't even remember ever seeing this picture, but I'm fine. So the night we spent 2 days in Miami before we went on this cruise, and it's of me like hanging over the balcony, and I look just awful. then that's us starting. That's us going on the cruise. That was before we even left.
It reminds me. So we often, in the alcohol experiment, the live alcohol experiment, or in coaching in the path, we come to a section of content where we talk about having these kind of before and after pictures. And so I didn't really have a before and after. I mean, I have an after, but I didn't really have a before because I stopped drinking 6.5 years ago, and it wasn't through Annie Grace's programs. There weren't any at that time. And so I didn't have anybody suggest I took a before picture, it just didn't even enter my consciousness. So when I went back to create this before and after picture, I found a picture from when I was on vacation. And it was, was it my husband's 60th birthday? I guess so. And that's my before picture. We're in a restaurant. I look bloated. My eyes are kind of dead. And it's like early evening. And I look at that picture, and that was how I showed up for the vacation, for this really special 60th birthday celebration. And it was just a few months later that I stopped drinking forever. So
I don't have a before or picture either, but this one would be a good one to use. I mean, but I have seen, even in my phone, I saw a few. I was looking way back for pictures, and I saw a picture, and I'm like, it was just me in a normal day, but I'm like, I just didn't have a sparkle. You know what I mean? My eyes did look kind of dead, and I probably had, if it was in the evening, I probably had some wine, and I'm just like, it just doesn't, there's no joy there, and that's why, I mean, alcohol free is just, I just love it so much. I mean, I would never go back. The things that I've learned from this experience about myself, and I think I wrote about this at the very end of my program, was if somebody said you could go back to being a normal drinker, whatever that is, but if I had to trade everything I've learned from this experience, I wouldn't trade it. I would never go back. So it's worth it.
I heard it said one time, I love that. I heard it said one time, it was an interesting way to ask the question. They say, like, how much money would it take for you to give up drinking? Like if somebody paid you $1 million, would you stop drinking? And so this went through the thread, and people were commenting, and someone said, no, I have a different question. If I paid you $1 million, would you start? And my answer was a flat out no. It's not worth any amount of money to go back to that place where I didn't show up for myself. I didn't show up for the people in my life. I didn't show up for life.
Yeah, me too. I was so miserable. I totally agree. I just felt like I needed these tools, and I still use them. I mean, I still use them. We just recently, when we went to Key West, I don't know, for some reason, you don't realize that you have this. This is the landmines. You don't realize that you have these behaviors. I don't go on vacation that often. So I start to pack. This wasn't even about drinking, but it was just a behavior. All of a sudden I had to be in a hurry. I had to have a deadline, and I had to rush around like a crazy person, because there's no other way to pack except to rush around like a crazy person, because that's the only way I've ever done it, So my husband's like, take it easy. We don't have to rush. We have plenty of time. Then we get in the car, and it's dead stopped on the highway. So then I'm doing my breathing exercises. I'm pounding water to stop the fight or flight. I'm meditating. I'm using it all, So, I mean, life is lifey. We need these tools, and, not to only necessarily not drink, but just to enjoy our life and not get super twirled up. And
Yes. And so I love that. These tools are applicable no matter where you are on your journey. And this idea of having, kind of packing your toolkit when you pack your suitcase is a beautiful intention. So I am so happy that you came on and shared this with us. This is just such perfect timing for people who are getting ready, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, to maybe go on that spring break or summer vacation. And I think these tools could really help them. So, Susan, tell my listeners where they can connect with you and find out about your boot camp and maybe grab your free vacation guide.
Yeah. So it's my website is susanlarkincoaching.com. And the about page is where I do a little bit of a bio, and it kind of explains why I'm super enthusiastic about socializing alcohol free. And that is where you can find the free workbook. And the boot camp is on my coaching page. And it's a 2-week boot camp. It's you can go at your own pace. It also includes a one-on-one coaching session with me, so we can go over your plan after you've worked through the boot camp. and get you ready to go. So I would love to connect with people there.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes. So if you are getting ready to go on vacation, be sure to check out Susan's offerings. And Susan, thank you so much for your time today. It's been lovely chatting with you.
Oh, thank you. It was great. Thanks.
Hey, I want to thank you for tuning in and listening to The Sober Edge. This is a place to have important conversations and a safe place to question everything you thought you knew about drinking. If you're looking for your sober edge, I invite you to connect with me at thesobernutritionist.com, where you can grab my free resource, 5 Healthy Reasons to Take a Break. And I would be grateful if you would take a moment to rate and review this podcast so together we can reach more people who are looking for their sober edge.